Hello folks, Pete Guitar Martin here. Yeah, I had a request from one of our YouTube channel subscribers to show how I change the strings on my guitar. So I'm changing the strings on my electric guitar today. It's very similar to the changing strings on an acoustic. The bridge end is different a little bit. This end here, the headstock end where the tuners are, essentially the same. Okay, so listen, there's all kinds of different methods and techniques. I'm not a guitar tech. I've done a little guitar tech work here and there, but I don't consider myself a guitar tech. I've developed a little method that works for me. My principles are, I want to be able to do it quickly. I want to do it in such a way that I don't damage the strings and make them more susceptible to breaking. And I want to do it in such a way that it doesn't slip out of tune after I've strung it. So, and I want to get the play out of the strings. So those are 4 things that I want to achieve whenever I change strings on my guitar. All right, so this is my Fender Stratocaster. It's a Mexican, but I upgraded the frets to jumbo frets and the pickups to the classic 1954 Fender pickups. And also I had the electronics and the guitar shielded to get rid of the 60 cycle hum when I'm only running 1 single coil pickup. So at any rate, I just thought I'd get that out of the way because people often ask about my guitar. All right, so yeah, I'm doing this and holding the camera at the same time. I mean, I've got a tripod here, but it doesn't really fit the guitar into it. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you, look, after I string it, I'm going to use my tuner, okay, and to tune the strings. And I'm going to use this tool for changing strings. It's a string winder, okay. This thing swivels around, okay, and it's made to fit different. I don't know if you can really see it. It's made to fit different size tuning pegs, okay. So there's 2 different sizes there you can select, and then it's got a string cutter. So okay, again, I'm going for speed. I want to be able to change my strings quickly, okay, because I got a lot of stuff to do. Like right now, I got a lot of practicing to do still for a gig I'm playing tomorrow. So all right, let's see. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these strings. And now look, I could loosen them up. You know, if you're concerned about this is a pretty stable guitar. It's got a steel reinforcement rod. The wood's old and hard because of the age. And any rate, some people will want to loosen their pegs first because they don't want to have a shock to the tension on the neck. But I don't really have concern about that with this particular guitar. I guess, you know, if I did, I could start in the middle. And you know, so I'm just going to cut these as quick as I can. And this just has this little notch in there. That's all I'm doing. I cut them, bang, bang, bang. And if I wasn't holding the camera in the other hand, I'm talking to you, I could probably do this quicker. But, all right. Okay, so I've done that. I got my new pack of strings here, by the way, and I'll talk a little bit about those. I've been using D'Addario for years. I personally like them because they have sort of like a natural compression to them, like a sustain. I like, you know, I like the touch that they have, but I did change the model I used, and I'll talk a little bit about that when we get the strings out. Okay, so now we cut the strings. So the next thing I got to do is get these strings out of this end of the guitar. So with this bridge, I'm going to push them through and grab from the other side. So I'm pushing through the 6th string now, and I'm grabbing around, so I don't want it to fall on the floor. I don't want to lose track of these, especially the smaller pieces. I don't want somebody walking barefoot around my area here, whether it's my house or a music store or wherever I'm working, and cutting their fingers out. So I'm careful not to drop them. Again, if I wasn't holding the camera, I could do this quicker probably, and hopefully you can see what I'm doing. I'm just pushing this through. Now, sometimes these strings get stuck in here, but that probably means I took way too long in between string changes, and the brass nut there at the end got kind of locked into the bridge. Let me show you the other side of this particular bridge. This is a floating tremolo bar, but I haven't used the tremolo bar for years. I put in a couple extra springs to keep it in tune. I don't want it slipping and going out of tune, so I chose that over using a whammy bar on this particular one. It doesn't have a lock-down nut. I could either get locking tuner pegs or a lock-down nut at some point. Anyway, these all came out easily this time. Other times I have to be creative, and like I can stick a real thin Allen wrench in one end and pop the button out the other end. Is probably what works best. If you get a nice thin Allen wrench, you can slip through this hole, push out the string on the other end by hitting the ball with the end of the Allen wrench. Okay, so now we got these over here. So these should all come off quickly. I'm gonna untwist them, and then when I get to the end, I just yank it through, right? Oh, I forgot to get my most important tool for me probably these days are reading glasses, but we'll see how I do when I come to try to thread these eye holes. All right, so I'm gonna set this stand down a little bit. I can get this camera a little bit more stable, and hopefully you can see what yeah, you can see the headstock now. All right, so I'm holding these strings. I want to be able to dispose of these strings in a way that someone doesn't get cut. You know, if they're, you know, if I'm going to put these in a trash can that other people are using, I need to make sure they're not going to get a puncture wound when they put something in. Great, I just dropped my guitar on the floor. Yeah. So, like I said, I'm not a guitar tech, so I don't really have a workbench, and I usually do this on my bed, but you know, I don't really want you guys in my bedroom, and I don't think you want to see that either. At any rate, so all right, let's see, we got that in the headstock in the camera again. All right. Oh man, I banged it good. It's not that it hasn't been banged before, but I did get some new dings in it that time. Beautiful. Not this. I've been using this guitar. I've gigged with this guitar more than any other guitar I've ever owned. And it's a nice workhorse. I'm comfortable with it. It's not perfect, but I learned how to make it work, you know, and I've done a lot of upgrades and maintenance on it. So anyway, oh boy. All right, so yeah, I got some fresh pressure dings in right there, I think. And anyway, all right, so here we go. Okay, so now I think I have all 6 of these strings here. 1, 2, 3, yeah, all 6 of them are here. So I saw three round wound. These are the round wound strings, and 3 regular. All right, so now I got them then like this. I can just coil them up. I'm gonna stick them in the new box that I get the new strings out of. And I'm gonna dispose of my strings by storing them in there. Because, and that, you know, we don't want people poking. A puncture wound is kind of painful and it can get infected real easy. You could poke yourself in the eye with it too. And you don't want to do that. You get it stuck under the cuticle of your fingernail, which is very painful. So I just wrap them up in a tight ball like this. And now, for now, I'm going to set it down. Then I'm going to do the same thing with the short end. So I go over here. I got all 6. Bring these down. Just going to wrap them in a tight circle, and kind of similar to how they come packed, sometimes wrapped up kind of similar to this. All right, so now all my string waste from the old strings are in these 2 wrapped circles. Now I'm going to have some string waste from the new strings too after I put them on. So one thing I have to remember, sometimes I end up closing up the box and forgetting, oh yeah, I'm going to still have more waste from the new strings, and these are coming unraveled. I'm having a little fight with this right now. Okay. All right. Wrap this around the other strings more. And just wanting to come undone. Dang nabbit, and there they fell on the floor anyway. All right, so, all right. Well, trial and error. Even still, after all these years, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm missing one. Where's the other string end? I don't see it. Don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. Okay, so let's try this again, because this keeps coming undone. Apparently I'm not bending the wire enough. I'm having to bend it some more. And let's see, wrap those through there. It's like as soon as I let go, it's been coming undone on its own. And I guess what I usually do is probably stuff them in the box by now. But anyway, all right, so I'm going to get the new box out. Okay, so I'm using these Diodario. I used to just use their regulars. I use 11s. They used to be called jazz strings with an unwound third, but at any rate, so I use that. And by the way, if I'm changing my strings as fast as I can, it's still taking me 30 to 40 minutes usually without explaining what I'm doing. So, and I don't have editing capability, so I hope you enjoy the antics here. So I just undid this, and this is a new, better string. It's more expensive, the NYXLs, Diodario, and you know, they advertise that they bend easier, and I really didn't want to go to a lower gauge, but because of arthritis, my fingers were hurting more, and dang nabbit, they bend easier, so it's helping me with my arthritis problem without having to downgrade to a lower gauge yet. I'll probably still eventually do that, but I just had the whole guitar set up, and then I decided to change strings. And I'm like, I'm not downgrading until I do a new setup on it. It's probably be another year or two, but anyway, so where are we now? It says, I read on this pack, oh, here it is, okay, here we go. Here's our little ad. Diodario NYXL strings will bend further, sing louder, and stay in tune better than any guitar string ever made. You're about to be heard more clearly than ever before. Get ready for an encore. At any rate, one of the things I noticed is that over the years, it seemed like the strings I've been using, the same brand and model for years and years, seemed to go down in quality a little bit. And so I asked about a better string, and here is this string. And so these sound better than I remember the other Diodario model sounding even in its heyday. So these sound better, they have a better tone, they bend way easier, and they have better compression. So I'm really happy with these. I'm willing to pay the extra $2 or $3 more, whatever it is. Excuse me. All right, so now I'm just putting these in here, but I'm not going to close it all up, those two. And I'm going to put this other scrap piece from the box there. So then I have this, which is shrink wrapped to keep the strings from deteriorating. They take all the air out. So then now I want to be real careful doing this, and I should probably use something sharper, like a Phillips head screwdriver or something. I just punch a hole through there to get this started. But I want to be careful this whole process to make sure I don't bend the strings while I'm doing it. I don't want to kink or bend the strings and make a weak spot that could then easily break, and then the string breaks before I wear them out, or in the middle of playing, performing or doing a lesson or something. So one of my first gigs with this band I played with years ago, I was playing the bass, and I actually broke a bass string, like the first or second song of the first set. The club was packed. All of a sudden, the bass string breaks. The sound man who not the sound man, but the band leader was a sound man and a guitar tech, and he rushed and got a bass string on my guitar in record time. So we were playing before the bar cleared out. Okay, so it was really important that we changed strings really fast at that time. And I'm going to show you the method he taught me, at least as best as I remembered. I've been basically using this method. I've come up with some other little techniques and whatnot that help me. So these come in, there's two, like these, this is the 5th and the 6th string. This is the 3rd string and the 4th string, and this is the 1st string and the 2nd string, and they are color coded. It's color coded here. Now this shows a larger pack. This shows like an 8 string pack. I only got a 6 string pack here. So, you know, our 6th string is the gold E, and our 1st string closest to the ground, strings are numbered from the ground up, is the high silver E. And that's just the color that they've used for these little ends that go on the bridge. Okay, so now I'm going to put on the middle 2 strings first. I'm going to put tension back on the neck from the inside out. I don't really know how critical that is unless you're really worried about your guitar neck bending and you have a weak guitar neck or something. So now I'm unraveling these. It's kind of reverse of what I did with the old strings, and it would help if I had glasses, but I want to make sure that I don't put a kink in the wires of the string as I undo them. At some point they just kind of undo themselves. You want to be real careful, or else they might fly out of hand and then fall on the floor and get, you know, dirt or something or dust on them, or, you know, you might have to go hunt for them. So, all right. So the 3rd string I'm going to put on first. I'm just slipping this, hanging it over the guitar amp so it doesn't fall on the floor. And I'm going to turn the guitar neck over. Now, for time, actually, I'm going to load all my strings into the back of the bridge at once. When you're talking about efficiency with time motion management, turning around is what takes the most time. I don't want to flip this guitar back over and over and over again, maybe drop it on the floor again. All right. Okay, so I'm just going to take all my strings and put them in the right slot right now. Okay, in which case it doesn't really matter what order I do it in, but in terms of tightening it, I'm going to do the middle strings and go from the middle out, so I don't get uneven tension on the neck. Like I said, I don't think that's really critical. You could probably put them on any order that you like, and it'd be fine. You got to remember when you do this that that's the 1st string closest to the ground. You know, you're looking at the back of the guitar neck, so something might look kind of reversed in your mind. So you want to make sure you're putting the right string in the right slot, or you're going to waste time and have to go do it over again. And having said that, I wasn't paying attention. I put the round 4th in the 3rd slot thinking it was the 3rd string. That was actually the 4th string. So now I'm going to put the 4th string in the 4th slot. The way I have the guitar turned upside down right now, the bottom of the guitar closest to the ground is closest to where I'm standing. And I'm just saying, you want to make sure you know that. Come on, there we go. Good. All right, so I'm feeding that in there. This is high enough. The strings are hanging down, and they're not really, the ground isn't really interfering with it. They might be the tip might be touching the ground a little bit. This is kind of a high bar stool I got here. Now I'm going to use the thicker strings. These are strings 5 and 6. Like I said, the brass colored one is the 6th string, and the red one is the 5th string, but that's not universal, I don't think, from brand to brand. So you need to pay attention to the labeling on the package, and also look at the thickness of the strings. And, you know, if you work with these enough, you can kind of eyeball which one is which. Soon you have your glasses on. But on bump. All right, so put the 5th string in. Normally this would go faster because I'm not explaining and showing the camera, but you know, I'm just feeding it in this hole, making sure the string doesn't kink or fall on the ground because it's whipping around. So then gravity does the rest of the work sometimes, like that one.